And why don't you have 404?
All right, so 160 billion rand worth of savings is how much Finance Minister Tito Mboweni would like to incur. That's just from public wages alone. Another 100 billion perhaps to come out of the medium-term framework over the next 3 years to perhaps try and save as much money as possible. Let's get into the list exactly of where exactly he decided things would come away from and perhaps be taken out of to try and ensure that a whole lot more money is perhaps in the system. There you have it then. A whole host of different portfolios, the likes of the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, certainly being ones that are going to struggle to get any money out of them as well. No money being taken out of the Development Bank of South Africa, though, of course. That entity in itself recently just helped out the likes of Eskom, right? So, and the likes of SAA. So we're certainly getting a sense then of where the money is going, and certainly going into the right hands in that sense. Let's also remember that you still do have educational trust and elements that perhaps need it the most. And if we aren't able to continue to help elements like education and the infrastructure that education needs, the difficulty becomes just how can we then better our education system. We also have the unfortunate scenario where health isn't necessarily that great in South Africa, and as we continue to cut more from that budget, what does it mean for all the medicines we kind of need as well? And with the coronavirus coming, perhaps it enters our shores at any stage. What does that mean then for those scenarios as well? We also have so many other infrastructural needs that we certainly need to unpack as well. So that's an exhaustive list, really. And that does come from the budget review 2020 that the finance minister did put out. Mark Masilela still joins me here at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange as we perhaps just talk about in general then, I suppose, just how difficult it has been. He kind of has to find the money from anywhere. And if we keep cutting from education, we keep cutting from health, those are the places that are going to get hurt the most, and we keep on saying how important they are.
True, and those are the ones that usually get the biggest chunk of our budget. But, I think Tito had his whole script, written in a sense that everyone, IMF, rating agencies have been complaining about government spending.
Yeah.
So definitely they had to do something along those lines. And it also confirms what we're saying, that the minute we get an economy which is not growing, it's not only impacting on us, also the government, because they start collecting less revenue.
Yeah.
They missed their target by almost 69 billion or so. So now your spending is going to be an issue, so you have to cut somewhere or you have to start borrowing more. So the one or the other, they had an option not to cut but to continuing borrowing, and we know that now our debt to GDP is just too high. It's looking to get the likes of 70% to the GDP, so it was just crucial for him to do something along those lines. And truth be told, some of them is going to be in a period over 3 years. The question is, that's what he intends doing. Will the actual thing happen? Will the real cutting happen? Because now we'll have people complaining. Take the school infrastructure. People still have schools where they don't have the necessary toilets, good classrooms, stuff like that, like you mentioned with health. Now, the whole rolling out of NHII, it has to be postponed, the piloting, because now they have to use that money somewhere else. But to get us out of this whole thing is to make sure that they create an environment as a government where businesses can be able to create jobs, where businesses can be able to grow, because they get most of their money from pay as you earn, and you can only get that when people are employed. Companies can only pay taxes only when they make profits. So if economies are not growing, then people definitely won't be able to pay tax. It's just so unfortunate.
But is it a credible plan, considering that you want to cut 160 billion over the 3 years or so from public servants, and then you want to cut another 100 billion from the infrastructure needs that you kind of see are more than necessary? Is it credible? Are the likes of Moody's going to look at it and say, yeah, okay, we believe you, there is enough there?
Already, the very same day he mentioned that, then they hit a snake, that there's no way we're going to allow this to happen, because remember, apparently he informed, the unions a day before he tabled that this is what we intend doing. So already there is that thing that we're not negotiating in good faith. So when it comes to the public sector wages, I don't think they will be able to get that through. And the guy said, listen, we have to go back to the concern. Even when it comes to the increases that you promised us, we still want those increases. And it's just so unfortunate that there are are the ones, who are bearing the burden of this whole thing, public servants. But I don't see how will they be able to do that, because already there's a clear resistance when it comes to unions. And whether they're right or wrong, I think in this case, everyone will try to defend their cause. That, listen, why am I the only one? Why not private sector guys also coming to the party to try to help the situation? So if this is a South African matter, so can we also try to do something? And when it comes to government spending, maybe another way, it should have been not to literally cut, but to make sure that the very same government is efficient. Why should it take 3 months to get things done? Why should people be allocated budgets and they don't implement those projects? That's an opportunity cost if you return back the money. So that's another way of cutting, but not literally cutting, because you'll get the government to be more efficient, the environment becomes conducive. Exactly.
Yeah. Very fantastic. Thank you so much for the time, Makwe. I really, really appreciate it there. Makwe Masalela from Makwe Fund Managers, helping us unpack those budget cuts just a little bit more, right? Operational efficiencies have certainly been an aspect we've continued to talk about. Just how you help small businesses, well, just pay them on time. Perhaps getting a whole lot more impact from them will come easier when they realize that they certainly can do business with government and things will happen for them a whole lot quicker. Well, that's where we end off things.